So before we get started with this week's episode, I have a couple of very important and very exciting announcements for you. Number one, the podcasting course is coming. The waitlist link is in the show notes. I have been podcasting now for 4 years, 186 plus episodes. And up until summer, so like up until June, there were over 55,000 downloads of the show, which I know to some people is not huge. To me, it's huge. I'm now going to be teaching you how to start and launch your own podcast, whether you're going to DIY or if you want to start out learning how to do it yourself and then eventually outsource any piece of the process. The course will cover all the things. And per usual in my teaching style, I make it easy as F. I am a self-taught elder millennial when it comes to technology, so it had to be easy for me to get going. So if you know that a podcast is in your future, I highly recommend adding your name to the waitlist. Again, links in the show notes. I'll send you a little something special before enrollment opens to the public. Announcement number 2, kind of related to announcement number 1, I'm doing private podcast mentorship. So if you know you want to take the podcasting course, and you would also like to work privately with me and talk through your podcast and have my private support in launching your show, private podcast coaching and mentorship is now available. Apply at the link in the show notes. And then, of course, you'll get the course as part of your package. And you'll have me in your back pocket. Announcement number 3 is the Birth Worker Retreat. So we are quickly approaching January. As of right now, we're about 3.5 months away from the Birth Worker Retreat, of which I am co-hosting with 3 other birth workers. The Birth Worker Retreat is focusing on mind-body business, and it's 3 days in Florida, January 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. The link to purchase your tickets and to secure your spot is in the show notes. And then we also have a Black Birth Worker Scholarship, and we will be notifying scholarship applicants within the next month. Announcement number 4, which leads us really nicely into this episode, is the new free training that I have. The Energetic Business Foundation is a free audio training. It's a 3-part training that will help you get crystal freaking clear on what you're here to do in the world. Zoom out, big picture, get clear about your mission so that it's much easier for you to navigate this business journey. If you are like jumping into strategy and trying to figure out what to do next and everything feels like shiny object syndrome and you're bouncing all over the place and it's really tricky to make strategy decisions, sometimes it's because you haven't yet gotten clear on what it is you're here to do. And I find that it's much easier to strategize, and you know I'm a sucker for a good strategy. I find it's much easier to have strategy when you are clear with the big picture in mind. The little details become easier. There's a link in the show notes. You enter your name, your email, and then I send you a link to the Google Drive that has the audio trainings. There will also be a portal login link should you prefer to watch on video. So what I've done for this episode today is I took a few excerpts of the training. In total, the training is like 2.5 hours between the 3 modules. Plus, there's a couple of guided meditations that are segmented out that you can listen to on an ongoing basis. So out of the 2.5 hours of training, I took about a total of 7 minutes for examples that I thought were really helpful from the training. So the first one that you'll find that I'm going to play next is a very short piece of module 1. And it's one of my favorite examples about the road trip that is our entrepreneurial journey. So here is a little brief excerpt from module 1 of the training.
Let's go a little deeper into mission. So we talked about your mission being an energy. The example I want to walk you through is an adventure, like a road trip. Imagine this cross-country road trip adventure that you're going on. And in your life, that's comparable. The example we're using is to your mission. Your expressions that we talked about are the different ways that you move in your mission. Your business is an expression of your mission. The work you do in the world is one expression of your mission. There's other ways your mission is occurring and happening outside of your business. Example for me, if my mission and the energy for me is to heal the mothers, my business is just one of the ways I'm doing that. Becoming a mother is another way. Motherhood, for me, the way I'm doing it, healing the crap out of my DNA, kicking and screaming and crying and rejoicing and all the things the whole way along, is another expression of the mission, because I'm healing myself as a mother, and the specific modality that I use heals things at their seed. So it goes back and heals my mother. my grandmother. So I'm healing the mothers in being a mother and doing it the way I do it. Like there's different expressions of it. So your business is really just one expression. It's just the one that we're going to really go deeper in because we're all entrepreneurs and we love our businesses and it's our baby and, and all the things. It could also be your chosen corporate job. If I were at a corporate job right now, and I can guarantee you that if there are pregnant people in that office, they're going to find their way to me. If you go take a job somewhere and you work with pregnant folks, they are going to find their way to your register. And you're going to have an experience with them. And they're going to start talking. When I was at my kids' school for pre-K coffee thing a week or two ago, there were several pregnant people in the room. And somehow I spoke to all of them, of course. I'm like, of course I talk to you and I can't help it. And I attract, we're like, we're magnets, right? So that's an expression of my mission at my kids' school. I'm not getting paid. That's not part of the business. So this is just part of it, right? So let's go back to the road trip. The mission is the adventure. The adventure is the mission, right? The vehicles and the different paths that you take along this journey, this adventure, are the expressions. So you might start out in this journey on this road trip. You're going to go on this adventure. Let's just say you're starting out in a snowy area, Canada. So you need a covered vehicle and you're maybe in the mountains. And so you need something that's got like a Land Rover that can move through everything. So that's one of the expressions on that part of the journey. But then eventually you get to this spot where it's super, super sunny and warm and the weather is beautiful and there's no rain. And so you're like, I actually want to be in a convertible coupe. So you switch into a convertible coupe because you can take the top down and you can feel. And so this is this part, this expression of the mission, this part, this vehicle on the path of the adventure is different, right? Still on the same mission, still on the same adventure, different paths. You might even take different actual paths. Same vehicle, you might take different routes. There's detours. And then you might switch to a train for part of the journey that a vehicle can't get through. And then all along this journey, you may be needing to stop periodically along this road trip to clear the path. This is a good one. Hurricane Irma, 2017, came through Florida. We left. But on the way home, we were driving from Tennessee back to Tampa, and there was so much debris in the road. We took a lot of back roads to try to avoid the interstate, and there was so much debris. And we were luckily in an SUV, and I felt really safe, but we had to drive off road and get around these huge trees and all this stuff that was in the way. But in our example, the healing work, the energy work, when I say energy work, healing work, the healing work that we're doing along the way, that's clearing the path, clearing the things out of the way so that our mission we can keep moving forward in the mission, right? Because if the point of this is to do the mission, do the things, we need things to get out of the way so we can get there. And that's what the healing part is. We're clearing things out of your field, out of your DNA, in lots of different ways, not just expansion principle energy. There's lots of ways you can do it, but you're clearing this stuff out of the way so that you can stay on your journey and do the things that you're here to do. Going back to the original goal of this whole training is we got to get you moving forward and not getting stuck by the debris.
This next excerpt is a little piece of module 2, and it's an example I really, really like that I think anchors in the concept of how important it is to have the correct people in our lives, in our businesses, who we hire as mentors and who we end up mentoring. So again, here's a little sample, a little taste of module 2. So finding the person like that helps you move to that piece in your life. I want to revisit the car journey, safari adventure thing that we talked about yesterday, the road trip example. Ideally, you have guides that have traveled that road before, right? I had a coworker one time that was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And I was like, okay, no thanks. Like, I like toilets, ceramic toilets, but that's cool. That's great. Like, kudos. There's all kinds of creatures and critters and stuff, and it sounds great, beautiful pictures. I'm sure it's a great experience, but like, I like beds, real beds. I like real toilets. She's telling me this whole story about the climb and how many guides they had to hire to take them along the hike. These people, these guides, these specific people that they hired, they're not PhD. They haven't been featured in Forbes. Like, none of that matters. They've been on that hike lots of times. She wanted to do that hike because she's questionable behavior, but she wanted to do the hike and she needed them to take her. They're the ones that kept her safe and taught her how to set up a tent wherever, where the safe spaces are to avoid all these animals and whatever stuff that would kill her at night. And, like, they've done it. And so they're the people. So I love that example because it's not about qualifications, certifications, letters behind your name, having the perfect history. Who knows what they do in their personal time? None of that really matters. They got her to the top of the Mount Kilimanjaro, period. So I hope that helps it land. And there are going to be the people who help you get to the top of your mountain, to the end of your journey, people who have traveled that road. Connect with them, get in their space. I hope that these two examples were really fun and really helpful for you. If you want to access the full training on audio, listen on the go, pop in your headphones, listen when you're commuting, listen when you're in car line, listen when you're out walking, head to the link in the show notes, enter your name, your email address, and I will send you the full audio training and access to the portal. Enjoy.